Ahoy, ahoy. It's Dan here. We're doing another shop time video. I have a video I'm going to be recording, I think, tomorrow, and I need to cut up some blanks for it. But before I do that, I've got a big mess on the bench I need to clean up, and I have to do some infrastructure, tidying up, things like that. So I thought we'd hang out while I do that. Luckily, I actually have my tripod this time. So it's raining. Floor's getting wet over there. I've got this side of the shop pretty dry. It's a little damp, but not too bad. But I got to work on that other side some more. All right, that's secured in there. First things first, be able to move you around a little bit more. I have this little assortment of Allen wrenches that came with some of my Wen tools, including the bandsaw. And I don't remember which exactly came with which. The ones that came with the planer have storage on the planer, so that's where they are. But I want to store these handy, so I'm going to attach them to the stand I have for my bandsaw. Let's get that over there so you can see. Can I flip it around? Oh, that's much easier to do it that way. Okay. So I want to attach them to the bandsaw here. And I'd like to attach it along right here. And I could just, I don't know, super glue it on or something like that. I'm just going to drill some holes in this and just drop them in there. But that feels, I don't know, a little too, I don't know. That's not jiving with me. I don't want to do it that way. So come over here. Let's see if we can dig out some 1/4-20 bolts, which I'm sure I have down in here. I know I've got some long 1/4-20s in here. I don't know how many 1/4-20 nuts I have. Okay, got some panhead 1/4-20s here. Now I need 1/4-20 nuts. That. See, this is definitely one of the things I need to get squared away at some point. This is just too much of a junk drawer right now, and it makes it kind of unwieldy, unusable. Actually, you know what? I don't think I need these super long ones. I've got these ones here that are 2 inches. That should be more than deep enough. So have you come back over here with me? Make sure everything's, oh, my right and left isn't locked quite down. There we go. That's a little bit better. All right. So I'm going to drill holes in that. Oh, yeah. These will be plenty long enough to go through and get through that metal there. So first things first, I think what I need to do is drill the holes for the Allen wrenches themselves. So let us do that. I think it really matters which way we do it. Oh, what a mess. What a mess. Gotta get this tidied up. I'll probably have you hang around while I cut up the blanks for the project that I'm doing too. My microphone's still on. Drill and drill bits. And I need to buy myself some more drill bits. We got a little gappy tooth right there. But let's start with the biggest one. Oh, I went to grab my marker. I vacuumed up my magic marker the other day. I mean, who does that, right? It's in the bucket with the sawdust, but I'm just lazy about grabbing it. So let's do one there, one there, one there, one there. So that leaves plenty of room on either side for the bolts to go in, plus room to add more Allens to this if I decide to do that at some point. All right. Yeah, this is definitely, we're going to go up to here. Yeah, I think this one will do. See, at least with the tripod, you're not stuck looking at my fat ass and bald head the whole time. So, better for you guys, I'm sure. Oh, I got this on slow. There we go. I had to set it to slow so I could drill through the metal. Yeah, that'll work just fine. All right. Now, this is going to be too skinny, yeah, for that. So, presumably, we'll just step down to 1/4. I think those two are the same size. I mean, those are probably metrics. I don't know. This is just an old scrap piece of pine, obviously. Uh-oh. The hell did I hit there? Oh, I hit the screw. Nope. Okay, and now we want to find the right thickness for this last one, which that is just a hair too thin. So let's try stepping up one from that. Yeah, it looks pretty good. Doke. All right. Those all fitting in nicely. Now we need to drill the holes for the bolts. Those are going to be 1/4, right? Since there's a 1/4 20, which I think are these ones. Yeah, these are 1/4 here on the end. You can always widen the hole a little bit if we need to. And no, I'm not being precise with this. This is not a situation that demands a high level of precision craftsmanship or intelligence. All right. Now, I'll bring you back over here to the saw. I'm going to run the drill in through those holes just to mark the spot where I'm going to be drilling. And this place is a mess right now. It's all right. That's why I'm doing a little maintenance and infrastructure stuff. Okay. It doesn't really matter which way this goes. So we'll mark that first hole right there. Get my little 3-in-1 handy. I'll tell you what, this 3-in-1 oil has been around for decades, if not centuries. Probably just decades. I'm probably exaggerating. Man, it has been the go-to oil for so much stuff over the years. Oops. Let's put the wheel locks on. That'll make this go a little more easy. Okay. Yeah, you can see what I'm doing there. Put more oil on that. Wow, either I have really dull drills or this is really good metal or probably a little bit of both. Okay, that side is drilled through. What you do is pop that through there, and nut on the back. All right, now. Okay. You still see that? Yeah, okay. Hook a foot under here so I can apply a little pressure to it. Wow, this bit is definitely trashed after this. Whoops. Okay, here we go. Now I'll slide our other bolt through. Okay. Now we just need a wrench and we can tighten those down. I can find the correct sized wrench over here. If I have the correct size wrench over here, it may not. Oh, that's going to be way too big. All right. To the toolbox. You wait there for a second, okay? It's just easier for you to hang there than to try and come over to the toolbox here with me. Go rummaging through my wrench drawer. Are you impressed that I actually have a proper wrench drawer? There we go, 7/16. Undo those locks now. Put this onto the back. These threads I mangled a little bit. That's all right. This will still work. Now let's do this the easy way. There we go. Done and done. Now, oh, did I make that too high? Mother humper. I made it too high. Ugh. All right. I wasn't thinking about opening this past it. Like without the wrenches there, it clears it. With the wrenches there, it doesn't. So it was almost a good idea. Let me hog this out while I'm at it. Now, there's two different ways I could do this. I could try and lower these holes, or I can lower the ones in the wood. Let's just do the wood. That makes way more sense. You hang tight over there. This is just going to take a second. If this drill could still drill through wood. Here's it can. Alrighty then. Again, there's not a lot of need for precision with an operation like this. Or for strength. I mean, you can see these are really high, so that's not a lot of tensile strength there, but like genuinely, who cares? Because all this is doing is holding a couple of Allen wrenches up. There's more than enough structural integrity to manage that. More than enough. All right. All right, let's try this now. All right. Now it clears the wrenches. Okay, now we're good. And now they'll be right here and handy if I need them to adjust this. As you saw in my other video, use the Allens to adjust some things on that. So, all right. That is done. Done and done. Brain, brain, what is brain? All right. Bring the camera back up. And let's put the bandsaw away. Just goes over here. This is another whole mess I have to deal with. So I'm keeping the bandsaw and the table saw and the router over in this corner. The planer and jointer go over in that corner, which you'll see. And I need to do something with all of these belt sander belts. And they're really awkward to store because it's not like you can fit them inside each other because they're all exactly the same size. So what I need is like a long drawer that I can put them in. But I think it would be nice if I could hang them on something, but there's no convenient way to do that. Like I could put a long wire, but then trying to get like this one off when the wire opens at this end that's just going to be no bueno. No bueno. So I'm going to put these over here in a drawer somewhere, I think. Yeah. I've got a drawer marked sanding supplies. And they can go in there for now. Even though this drawer itself needs to be cleaned and organized, but yeah. At least it gets them out of the way for now. I don't use the belt sander all that often. Often enough that it's good to have one, but not so often that if I have to dig out a belt, it's a big problem. Okay. It's got all like my owner manuals and stuff over here. They go in the top of the toolbox. They are a little disorganized, but at least I know where they are. Okay. Goes in the offcuts box. I think this drill bit is probably garbage now. Oh, maybe not. I don't know. What do you think? Does it look like garbage to you? Still got a useful edge on it? I don't know if you can see or not. It's probably too close for it to focus on. It doesn't really look damaged, though. Put it back in the thing. Most of what I drill is wood anyway, so I'm sure it'll still plow through that without any trouble. Should swap out batteries, though. Charge this one back up. Take this one off the charger. Can you see me okay there? How is that view? Oh, yeah. I don't have the camera flipped around, but that's my whole bench in that picture, so I'm sure you're seeing me. I don't know, my head might be out of frame. Although, now, if you can see the whole ceiling, then my head's in frame. I don't know, you guys tell me in the comments. Is my head out of frame? Is it in frame? Is it going in and out of frame? You let me know. Screwdriver, hearing protection, giant rubber eraser for the sander, wrench with the wrenches, chisel there. My hammers still just live on my bench. I haven't really found a place for them to go right now, other than just living on my bench, which is suboptimal, really. It does eat into the bench space that I have. All right, square goes up there. I do keep these in their little sleeves. It's because I've got a hangy thing, so I can hang them off my thing. Just makes it convenient, that's all. It's not like they need to be stored in the plastic bags or anything like that. Just is more convenient for me the way my space is organized to have them that way. Offcuts that I might use for something else. This is a piece of pine that goes in the garbage bin. Speaking of the garbage bin, I need to empty my garbage, but it's pouring rain outside right now, so I'm not going to do it tonight. Check in the morning, see if it's dry. Got a cherry offcut here that I have no idea what I'm going to do with. Got some router bits. Oh, you know why I have these out? Because I'm working on the wizard staff for my friend, and I need to route a groove for the other piece that I'm putting in it. All right. Now, these are practically useless. I rarely touch them anymore. So I'm going to put them out of the way over here. I know you can't see what I'm doing, but I'm hanging them off an overhead piece there. All right, now move you over here so I can grab my vacuum off the bench. Stepping carefully around the water as much as possible. I definitely need to do something about this. I mean, now that the summer is here, I'll pick a dry weekend and try and waterproof the walls a little bit more and divert the water away. Got this old belt sander that I'm getting rid of as it completely falls over because I'm a numpty. It's just colossally in the way right now. And I could. Oh, that's not safe at all. Put it on the steps. That's, oh, blood. Good. I need to find a different spot for that. Let me finish cleaning up here first. Then I'll find a spot for that. It's like leaving it on the steps is a poor choice, poor life choice. So it's not going to stay there, but there it lives for the moment. I've got some poplar here that I'm going to be using for something soon. Got a few test projects and inventory things that I'm working on. You know, it's going to get dusty. I should put a mask on just so I don't start sneezing and end up with a ridiculously stuffy nose. Yeah, masks help, especially with this light loose dust. I mean, this mask is no good if I'm pouring resin or something like that. You need something that can catch the volatile organics with that stuff. You need more than particulate protection, which is all this really gives. Catches a little bit of the dust. Not 100% of the dust, but a lot of it. Enough to make a difference. Swept, swept, swept. I'm going to empty my bins too. So I have to empty my scrap wood bins as well. I don't know, we'll see how this weekend is. If it gets sunny tomorrow, I might just stick it out front with a free scrap wood sign on it. This is fire pit season after all. Some of this stuff, I mean, the pine is whatever, you know, but throwing some nice cherry on your fire pit, that sounds lovely. Absolutely lovely. All right, we're getting there. We're getting there. All right, let's pull the saw out so I can get to the bucket. This is my dust separator bucket. Yeah, it attaches to the little shop vac. It's got like this cyclone thing, which is full of dust bits, which tells me it's full. But I think I kind of suspected that it was full anyway. The vacuum draws the air from the table saw or whatever in through here, and it spins it. And by spinning it, you slow down the larger particles, and they fall out into the bucket. That stops them from going into the vacuum. So you can just empty the bucket, and that way you don't constantly fill up your vacuum bag. In fact, you fill very little of it up. It's mostly just, holy shit. Sorry, this is going everywhere. Ah! It's mostly just the really fine dust particles that end up going into the vacuum. That obviously needed to be done. I even spilled some onto the floor in the process. So, you know, go me, I guess. Grab the broom and sweep that up. Right now, I'm going to grab the edges of this garbage bag and lift it. So the dust doesn't keep pouring out. That was way overdue for being emptied. From the color of that sawdust, it looks like mostly walnut and cherry. I think that dark brown is walnut. The reddish brown is definitely cherry. Kind of tan color. Okay. I have another bucket that I think, so I have bucket assemblies on both my vacuums. That one too. I'm guessing this one probably also needs emptied. It doesn't fill as fast because I mostly use it for just regular vacuuming and attaching to the random orbit sander, the palm sander. Doesn't see as much heavy debris. Because the table saw and the planer and jointer are what I use the other one for. And they produce a lot. A lot of dust. Probably going to get a lot of bumping microphone noise here. Oh, that's not too bad. Huh. Okay. I didn't remember that getting sucked in, but apparently it did. It's my marker. All right, but that's only got like that in it, so that's not too bad. We'll dump it anyway, though. Yeah, and if it's dry tomorrow, clearly this trash can needs to go out. Face full of dust. Good thing that's on wheels. I would never get it out of here. Sorry. Just Clear the dust out of my nose. All right. And we will put that back on. All right. Okay. Vacuum is restored to workfulness. All right. I think I have things cleaned and cleared enough. Trying to think if there was any other. I needed to re-level my jointer because I changed the blades on it, but I already did that the other day. So I think we're good to go on the prep. So I have a project in mind, but I need to make some blanks. Here, let's spin this around. Nope. That? Nope. How do we spin this thing? Has to be that. Or does this does not spin? Let's flip this. There you are. Anyway, I have a video project that I wanted to, well, that would be a project I do a video on, wouldn't it? But I need some like 8/4 blanks, 2x2. Probably it'll be more like 1.5 by 1.5. I have a big piece of 8/4 cherry. Just so you know, when you buy rough lumber from the lumber yard, they size it in quarters of an inch. So 8/4 is 2 inches thick, 4/4 is 1 inch thick, 2/4 is 1/2 inch thick, like that. And it is actually the dimensions. When you get dimensioned lumber from a lumber yard, then it's usually smaller than the listed dimensions. So a 2x4 is actually 1.5 by 3.5 inches. It's not 2 inches by 4 inches. There's a long history about why that is the way it is, but that's how it is. So I have some cherry. I think I might be able to do it with some walnut as well and some maple. So let's go see what we have in the wood pile, okay? Flip you back. There we go. It's also a project I'm gonna try using some wood offcuts on. Oh, that's right. I got all this shit piled up in here. I'm working on making an air cleaning system for in here. Keep some of the dust out of the air. The hell is this? Is mahogany, right? I think. All right, where's my? So this is poplar. I remember that as poplar. Oh, here's my 8/4 cherry down here. I don't know if you can see this or not. Let's angle you down a little bit. So this is my 8/4 cherry. So let me see if I can pull this out. I don't need this whole length of it, but obviously I need to get it out so I can cut it down. There we go. Let's bring this over here. Now, oh, that's right. I've got oak too. I've got 8/4 oak, which I didn't want to use for this. Is that my oak? No, this isn't my oak. This is. Oh, that's my other 8/4 cherry. This is 7/4, but I think it's mahogany, and I don't want to use mahogany for this. I was hoping. All right, this is a piece of walnut. God damn it. Now everything's wet and a mess. That's what happens when I have stuff stored where stuff shouldn't be stored. You know what, let's put it all down there. All of it down there. I don't know why I just didn't put it there in the first place. All right, this is Purple Heart. I'm definitely not using Purple Heart. I was hoping to find a piece of regular old maple to use. This is Babinga, which I am definitely not using for this project. Stuff is way too valuable. I got it for free, but it's still very valuable. Some ash. Ash would probably be good, but I want maple. That's poplar. It's too light to be maple. Some pine. I am not using pine for this project. What? All right. This is a piece of maple. This is cherry. That's ash. That's kumaru. It's a wood I'm not overly fond of, and I don't know why. It's fine. It's a fine piece of wood. That's mahogany. Ow, that's a splinter. All right. It's wormy maple, but you know what? This will do. The wormy maple is fairly inexpensive. All right. Let's come back over to the table, to the workbench. Slide you back over to the moon here. Okay. We have maple. This is pretty obviously called the wormy maple because you can see this discoloration. And if I bring you in close, you'll be able to see the little holes in the wood. So this is where worms or insects were burrowing through the tree after it died. And that leaves these color stains behind, which makes for very pretty wood. So, I mean, obviously, you need the worms to be gone before you use it, which these ones long since are. But this end down here doesn't have too much of the wormy look to it. So I think I'll cut off of there for this project. This is, oh, see, you can see right there. It's big stamped on it, 8-quarter cherry. So this, I think I'm just going to lop a chunk off of it. And then we need to plane it down. Let's go off of this end over here, I think. You can, if you look here, you can see a slight color change. I don't know if this is going to come through on camera or not. But this is more like an orangey color, and this is kind of a yellow color. This is heartwood and sapwood. The sapwood is the wood that's further away from the center of the tree, and the heartwood is the wood that's more towards the center of the tree. Basically, it's live wood and dead wood. Every year, as the tree grows, the inner rings basically die. But it's not, it's more like fingernail or hair material. It's like that for the tree. But as I said, I want to cut off of this end over here because it's kind of dinged up and chunked up here. So I'll leave that other part for a different project. There are a couple different ways we could do this, but I'm just going to handsaw a piece off. Throw it in the vise here. Sure we're still recording. We are in fact still recording. That's great. That is way more than I need for this project. So let's cut it here. That will be plenty for this project. Let's go put this back in the wood pile. All right, next the walnut. I don't need a big chunk of this, and I'm gonna have to do a glue up to get it thick enough for the project. And again, I'm gonna come off this end because you can see this is kind of beat to shit over here. So I'd rather save the parts that aren't beat to shit for a different project. So let's cut a chunk off of here. I'm not going to cut quite as big a chunk as the cherry. This walnut's expensive, so well, it's not super expensive. Oops. Okay. You'll see how I process and mill this stuff down in a little bit. I've already shown little clips of it, but whatever. All right, now for the maple. Again, we're going to come off of this end. So let's go up to where the worst of this is, because, like, let's face it, this section with this tear out here isn't. This is bark. This is live edge. Was live edge when the tree was alive. Okay. This is just regular old native to the Northeast maple. There's a lot of different varieties of maple. There's sugar maple is a different kind of maple and other maples, and there's hard maple and soft maple, both of which are hardwoods, but the hard maple is a lot harder than this. And then there's rock maple, which is even harder than the hard maple. Hence the name rock. It's literally why it's called rock maple. All right. We'll work for like another half hour or so, and then it's going to be dinner time for me. So now we're going to get out the jointer. So basically what you do, can you see the jointer? Let's bring the jointer into focus. There we go. Lower this down a little bit so y'all can see. So basically you take a piece of wood that's rough cut like this, right off the mill, and there's a set of blades in there, and you go meow across the blades, and that gives you a nice smooth finished edge, a planed edge. You need a jointer and a planer. You can actually joint with a planer, but you can't plane with a jointer. So of the two, the planer is the more important tool, because a planer can do what this can do. A planer basically just takes both edges and makes them parallel to each other. That's what a planer does. Jointer makes it straight, a planer makes it planar. Don't know why they call it jointing, but that's what it's called. All right, now for this, we need to go full gear. Whoop. You go up there. And we'll do the eye protection too. I have prescription safety glasses. So put those on, and the mask on, and definitely the ear protection for these. These in the planer get really loud. And also critically important. Push blocks. Cannot use a jointer without push blocks, because they keep your hands away from the spinning blades of death. And these things will turn your fingers into hamburger. It's actually kind of terrifying, if I'm being honest. Oh, okay. Little notch here, getting hung up on the back of the fence. So I just got to turn this around. So the maple, you can see, isn't rough cut. This has already been surfaced on 3 of the sides, 1, 2, 3. So we don't need to run this one over the jointer. And this will probably just take it on the table saw and rip that strip off of it, which probably we'll do next before we pull the planer out. No, we can do the planer next, whatever. It's tough. If I had a bigger shop, I would just take the wood over to each of the tools instead of having to wheel the tools over to the work area. But that is why everything is on wheels, just to make that process a little bit easier. And there. So this is the planer. The whirling blades of death on this one are not as immediately visible. They're buried up inside here. Up. So even though they would also turn your fingers into hamburger, it's a lot safer than the jointer because you would have to intentionally like jam your hand in there to get hurt by this thing. And I have no intentions of doing that. I mean, I suppose if you were dumb and you wore a tie, a necktie or something that could get caught, that could get fed in and caught and pinched or something like that, that would be a way you could get hurt on this thing. But for the most part, this is one of the safer machines that I have. Or maybe it would be better to say it's one of the machines I have that's the most easy to use safely. All right, you just lower that thing down and then you go to town. I do have the option of standing it up on edge like that and feeding it through to clean up this edge. But with a piece this small and this narrow, it's just going to be easier to do that on the table saw. I've got this stuff here. I'm not going to bother getting rid of that. This is enough for me to work with, and I can trim some of that off. So, but if I wanted to get rid of that, I'd have to keep going, and it would get really narrow. Yeah, so we're just going to leave it like that. I am going to run the maple through, just to give it a little bit of a finished surface. Take very shallow cuts and go really slow. My single biggest complaint with this machine is the dust that it leaves. As you can see, like it just is everywhere. And bring you around here, you can see how much gets dumped onto the floor and underneath there. And that was just from those few small pieces of wood. But this is the best planer I can afford. And if it takes me a few minutes to clean up the dust afterwards, I can live with that. It does a good job. Aside from making a mess, it does a fine job at what it needs to do. All right, so I start by getting dust off the top of this area. Don't worry, it's unplugged. And then I raise this all the way up. I wish I could put like a drill on this and just whoop. That would be nice. But again, I'm not complaining. It does what it needs to do, and it has saved me a shitload of money by allowing me to buy rough lumber instead of finished lumber, which is like 4 or 5 times the cost, especially at the big box stores, and the quality is not nearly as good. All right, that's clean enough for that. Let's put the planer away. And last but not least, we move on to the table saw, or the table saw, some people say. Will always kill me when I was buying a used swing set for my kids, and the guy needed a hacksaw to take it apart because the bits had gotten rusted together. You know, it's one of those classic metal ones. And the kids, he said he needed to get a saw, and the kids were like, "What's that?" He's like, "Oh, there's 2 kinds of saws. There's the saw that you get on your arm, and then the saw that you use to cut wood with. One is spelled S-O-R-E, and the other is spelled S-A-W." Oh man, I couldn't believe I heard that. But here we are. Welcome to New England, I guess. That was probably Massachusetts too, specifically. All right. Big hose on the table saw. Let's see, I've got my combination blade in there, which is good. That'll let me do all the cutting I need to do. All right, so this, I need to cut into lengths, and I also need to cut down so it's square. The walnut, I have to trim the garbage off the edge. Maple, I have to trim the garbage off the edge, and then I have to make glue ups for both of those. So let's start by squaring up the cherry. Put it in here the narrow way. Now, if I just run this through the narrow way, I should have a square piece. I've got a little check right there, so we'll cut that out. All right. Mask and ear protection. And push stick. A little bit of burning in there, but not too bad. All right, square piece of cherry. Thanks. Not quite square. Oh, my blade out of square. I think my blade's out of square. Ah, very mad at myself. I didn't re-square it after the last time I used it. It is in fact not square. Oh. That would explain why my cuts weren't square. Okay. Let's try this again with a blade that's properly squared. Did you see how that cut was all coming off here above the blade? So obviously this edge is this further out. That should be square now. So let's see what we can do over here. Okay, that feels square now. This is looking better. Oh yeah, okay. So that's square and that's square. We just need to square up this side and then we can square the whole block. Okay, that looks better. See, now it's square. Now it's square and square on the sides. So what did we get left with? That was pretty close, just over 1.5 inches. So we'll go with that. All right, now let's rip these down. This will be less fiddly. Actually, you know what? Let's do it this way. See, this is exactly the kind of thing I end up with, and I think there's got to be something I can do with that. Close enough. All right, that is going to be it for the table saw for tonight. You know what would help if I turned the vacuum back on? I'd probably be wearing a little less dust right now. That was done. Not the first time either. Probably won't be the last. All right, that was pretty good timing. It's just about dinner time anyway. So let me just do my glue ups, and then we'll end the video. These are for the wizard staff. Ta-da! All right, so that one I'm just going to use as is. We don't need to do a glue up on there. We do with the maple and the walnut. And you are going to have to play the wait and see game to wait and see what I'm actually making here. Because the video for this build isn't going to be out till, I imagine, at least a few weeks after this, because I'm just going to upload this. The other one is going to be a shop time, not a shop talk. So it's going in the rotational schedule. I'm filming this June 7th. I think today's June 7th. And I know I have videos in the queue ready to go launch all the way out until the end of June, I'm thinking, or even the first week of July. So it's going to be at least 3 or 4 weeks. At least 4 weeks before this build goes online. But you'll know it when you see it. And then you'll be like, oh yeah, I watched Dan's shop time video where he prepped the wood for that. Look at that lovely, lovely glow. We've got to spread it carefully. Make sure the whole surface is covered. Lovely, lovely glue. I don't know. Maybe someday I'll start a proper woodwork building channel or something, but for right now, it's just me doing my stuff. And that is all I've got the time for. Or the skill for, to be quite honest, because I am learning the shit as I go. I am not even remotely a professional builder. Not even a little bit. Not even close. So, okay. That one's glued up. This other one glued up. Nah. I'm going to steal one of these here rubber feet off my bigger ones that I don't really use as frequently as I use these. Okay, we want to go cut edge to cut edge. So we're going to go like that. This really is, it's PVA glue, and it's really basically the same stuff as good old-fashioned Elmer's white glue that you used in school and you have around home or whatever. It's a slightly different formulation, but it's the same type of product. Like, you can seriously, if you want to do woodworking and you're on a budget, you can just get Walmart version of Elmer's glue and it will work. It's the same type of glue. There's some benefits to using the ones that are made for woodworking, but, you know, the white glue will work. Or if you want, you could really go down a rabbit hole and get hide glue, which is quite literally, you know, the glue they make out of animal hides. It's what I remember there was still a saying around when I was younger about sending the horse out to the glue factory, because that's what happened when a horse was too old to be useful for anything around the farm. And obviously people don't eat horse, generally speaking anyway. So to get your last little bit of money out of the animal that served you so faithfully over the years, you have it slaughtered and turned into glue. You make a little less money off old, I don't know, old Bessie is usually a cow, isn't it? Trigger? Old Trigger. This was, of course, the name of the Lone Ranger's horse, Trigger. And his faithful Indian companion, Tonto, who had, his horse was named Scout, which frankly is a pretty cool name too. Scout and trigger. This is actually substantially more than I need, but hey, I can make some other items with it of the same kind. Here we go. Messy, messy, messy. Wipe off the squeeze out off of this one. Now you ask any given woodworker, and there's 10 different ways to handle squeeze out. Everybody's got their own process. But this stuff is water soluble while it was wet, while it is wet. So a little bit of water and a cloth will clean it up nicely. So when you got big ass globs like this coming out, I mean, you do need to kind of get the squeeze off out, especially of fine projects. But the good news about the squeeze out means you've got plenty of glue in there, because the excess is, as you might guess, squeezing out. And better to have too much glue in there than too little, and the joint doesn't hold. I mean, this will be just as strong as the wood itself, because the wood fibers are held together by a polymer called lignin. And the strength is really in the fibers. And all the wood glue really does is substitute for the lignin along those joints. Anyway, it says we're still recording. Anyway, it's been a long one, like an hour and a half, maybe a little bit longer. So thanks for joining me. And we'll see you in the next video. I suppose I like, subscribe, share, yada, yada, yada. Don't worry about sharing these ones. These are just us hanging out. If you feel like sharing them, sharing. If you don't, don't. Bye.